Wolves 2, Fulham 1, another 3 points on the board for Wolves in the Premier League. And weird game today. Did have to fight for it, but second half, ultimately, we were the much better team and deserved the 3 points, really. But lots to talk about after this game, really. A lot of changes for Wolves. Going with the 4 at the back for this game. Obviously, seeing Santi Bueno come in, which I thought was a big boost. He's a very, very good player for us today. And Jean-Rick Nebelgaard's coming in. So it was really a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 for Wolves. And it was a slow start, really. We had an early injury for Jean-Rick Nebelgaard within the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game. He went down, ultimately had to come off straight away. And we saw Tommy Doyle come on, who I thought had a good game again today as well. And the second half, there wasn't anything really to shout about. Fulham had a couple of half-decent chances. I'll probably say their best chance of the game was, we got caught out once or twice in behind, and I think it was Harry Wilson through on goal and puts it wide, where really you should be putting that in the back of the net. So big let-off for Wolves. But in terms of chances created for us, we didn't really have too many. Neto had one where he sort of, I think if he hits it on his right foot, he gets a shot on target, but tried to cut it back onto his left. And then ultimately, right at the end of the half, obviously we see Pedro Neto pull up with a hamstring injury. At the same time, Nelson Semedo goes down, and sort of my hands are in my head at this point, or my head is my hand rather, I should say, and thinking this is not good. It was being a really slow and poor performance, and again, Bellegarde out injured, Cunha hopefully back soon, Hwang injured, and now obviously Neto injured. Wolves' crisis of injuries just seems to be continuing at the moment in the business end of the season, really, and a really important part of the season. So going into half time, I think with Neto off, Neto didn't even, wait for treatment. He knew as soon as he ran that ball out of play, he just walked straight down the tunnel himself. He knew, and that could maybe be most, unless he's doing it as a precaution himself, but that could be the last we see of Pedro Neto this season, maybe. And yeah, I think at half time everybody would have been thinking, right, probably not going to get anything out of this game. I felt the same at Newcastle last week when Sarr and Neto came off. But second half, it was different. And it wasn't necessarily Wolves were better, although they were. I thought Fulham were just so much sloppier in possession as well. First 5-10 minutes of the second half, tossing, I think it's Adebayo at the back for them. Awful in possession. He lost the ball 3 times in the space of a couple of minutes between the 45th and 50th minute. Lamina, pressing him, and he just couldn't deal with it. And, we saw a back 5 come into play eventually. That was sort of at the end of the first half when Neto was substituted off for Totti. And I think it worked so much better because it gave Ryan Ait-Nouri the freedom, and one of the best players on the pitch today, Ryan Ait-Nouri, his ability on the ball today, he really showed it off. And got a much deserved goal. Ball comes in from the set piece again. Harrison Reed with a foul, some awful fouls today by Fulham, by the way. I think they were very, very fortunate that the referee Tony Harrington didn't give out more bookings for them. Polinia as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. But ball comes in from the free kick, and Totti's there at the back post. Really nice composure, puts it on a plate for Ait-Nouri, just hit it on target, and it's in. There were a couple of moments throughout the game where Wolves were dilly-dallying a little bit too much on the edge of the area. I thought João Gomez a couple of times could have hit it, and he was trying to be a little bit too unselfish. After the goal, Nathan Fraser had a good opportunity as well, who I thought Nathan Fraser worked his socks off today. Just think still needs to figure out physically where he's at in terms of pace and acceleration and trying to find his top speed, because there were at times, he's picking up nice spaces, but I think the players around him like Sarabia and so on didn't quite trust him to get onto the end of the passes. But I think in and around the box, you can trust him to make an impact. But in terms of work rate and his pressing and his ability to work back was very, very good today. And ultimately, Wolves got a little bit of luck, the luck they deserved. And last few weeks, we've been unlucky in regards to injuries and certain things not going our way. But we got the luck we deserved. But I say look, the work before the goal was phenomenal. Down on our left-hand side, right by where I sit, down in the South Bank, almost Samba-style type play from João Gomez to protect the ball, and a couple of nutmegs, I think, involved. Sort of rolling the ball on the bottom of his feet and working the ball. In the end, I think it's played in behind today from Fraser, who tries to whip a ball in, half clear to Semedo, who hits it. Takes a massive deflection. I think it's off Tom Kearney and into the back of the net. And at that point, I felt getting, I saw a couple of the youngsters warming up. Thought maybe Gary Neal's going to bring him on, but he stayed with the guys that he had on the pitch ultimately for a much longer time. 2-0 up. And then we see Adama come on for Fulham as well, and I felt we dealt with him very, very well. He had one or two chances. I think Saar produced a couple of great saves, couple cleared off the line. Frustrating, I think, to concede at the end. Iwobi, who's got a ridiculously good record against us. Very, very weird with how good he is against us. And I think it was Brozier who got the assist, but we held them at bay for such a long period of time. So it's frustrating, obviously, to have conceded, but ultimately it's a massive 3 points for Wolves and just worked our socks off. And we had to change certain things. Players played in positions they aren't really natural in. I felt Lamina was almost playing as a left winger today. We saw Doc coming on at left wing back. But best player on the pitch for me, Mario Lamina. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal and unlucky not to get a goal towards the end as well. So good today, and I saw him at the end. He was just absolutely shattered, but worked his socks off physically, technically, mentally. An absolute beast of a player, and I genuinely, and I don't. There's been a couple of games, when he came back from his break, where I felt he looked a little bit slow and sluggish. But for 90% of this season, I think Mario Lamina has been phenomenal. Genuinely one of the most underrated players in the Premier League, and I'm not just saying that with my Wolves spectacles on. I think he's such a good player, and today I just felt he's amazing. Santi Bueno, I think, be very, very harsh if he misses out next week against Coventry. João Gomez, Tommy Doyle did what they needed to do. I think everyone played their part today. So it's a solid performance today. And it's obviously just going to be interesting this week to see what happens in regards to the team and who plays where and who's going to be in that squad for the Coventry game. But Wolves 2, Fulham 1, another 3 points for the Wolves. I'm not looked at the table yet, but I'd assume we're in an okay position now. A little bit of a stretch because Fulham, if they beat us today, would have gone ahead of us in the table. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. I'm off to the gym now. Get a workout in before a few drinks tonight. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you very, very soon.